Okay. Thanks, Danny. Okay, my slides are taken off here. Yeah, so everything we're going to be discussing tonight really will boil down to this simple statement. And in my experience, it sounded simple, and I had to work really, really hard to get to the, now it feels right. So what I want to be doing tonight is not just going to give you the formula, but we'll maybe work through the different steps. And ideally, we'll do some coaching. It can be hard to kind of tease out this, but it's easier when perhaps there's someone asking you questions or we're brainstorming. So I really encourage you all to go all in tonight and to try and get the most from this. I know some of you perhaps can't have your videos on, or even if you're recording, take some time out to answer these questions. Perhaps have someone, find someone to talk through them with if you don't get to the clarity tonight. And when you get this piece, when that becomes clear, so much of the rest of your business will make more sense, will be easier. For example, when you know who you serve and how you serve them, what you do to help them to get what they want, that can influence all of your marketing, all of the content you create. It will influence your kind of your profile, the names you use, the language you use. So it starts to bring a focus for what you do, and that's much easier for them people to get the message of who you are and what you do. So it is well worth doing this. But then another question is, do you need a niche? Anyone got that? And let me just get the chat box. Who here is wondering, do I need a niche or not? Or anyone here on the fence about it and perhaps would rather you don't need a niche? I know, yeah. It didn't get mine, didn't work out for me straight away. So you don't actually need a niche. It's kind of a bit of a myth. You can be a successful coach without a niche, but it's less reliable. You can be a general, and I, to be fair, I suppose it's only in the last couple of years I've started to really refine my coaching. But I was very much, and still am very much a generalist in that you can help a lot of different people. And that is kind of an aspect of coaching. When you learn coaching, you go, wow, I could do so much good with this. I could help lots of different people. So you don't need a niche, but it is very, very helpful. And coming to that place of clarity within is not easy in my experience. I've also been doing a lot of kind of mentor coaching for health and wellness coach graduates and guiding them through the process. And it often takes breakthroughs, and sometimes there's fears in the way, there's doubts, and there's barriers that are kind of blurring the waters or coloring the waters that we need to sift through first. So even though it's a simple formula, it can take a bit of work, and it's well worth doing the work. So let me just I think I have pretty much everybody who's going to be here tonight. Let me just get a read. I want to know how many clients you've had. So just kind of get a sense of where you are in the coaching journey. So for those of you who, has anyone not had their first paying client yet? Just put something in the chat box. You're still at a 0 or not yet, something like that. Anyone waiting on their first paying client? I know some of you are only recently graduated. Okay, that's okay, cool. Okay, thank you. Yeah, okay. Great, thank you. A few trial clients and a few paying, good. Yeah, so how many would be on the kind of 0 to 5 range? So if you're still in the not yet, you go ahead. Anyone else in 0 to 5, just put in, yep, not to 5. That bracket. Okay, that's a, yeah, thank you. Great. And then the other option would be 5+. So you had 5 or more paying clients, around 7, good. 5+. Great. Anyone on 10+? Okay, super helpful. Okay, great. So most of you are in that kind of 0 to 5 maybe not started yet, but the brain. So it can be really hard. And Helen, you've got more, perhaps you got 10 plus, great, well done. So it can be very hard to know from the start, gosh, you know, who do I help and how do I help them when you haven't really even got to that point yet. So what I will say at this point is, this is probably in work in progress for you. You don't have to stress about it. What I would, if you were my kind of client at the moment, I would be saying, just keep coaching any chance you get. Don't let anything hold you back. Just get your experience. It will all feed you. It will all help you. It will all give you so much more confidence, certainly. So just keep going and get anything you can. The niche will be something you can do alongside that, and it'll be very valuable for your marketing, and will make it easier to attract clients. But if anyone comes your way in the meantime, don't worry about it. If you believe you can help them and they seem like a good client, I'll be taking them on for the experience you will get and what you will learn about people. Also, what I will say is that your niche, it doesn't stay static. It may evolve. One of the barriers sometimes we face into is like, oh, but it's too soon. If I choose now, I might rule out some people that I could really help. Anyone coming up against that one? Yeah, it's like you come to the niche point of, yeah, sounds great. No, but that starts excluding people, doesn't it? The very nature of a niche is it's exclusive and not inclusive. And that's really useful for marketing, because then you can get targeted. But you might have to come across, oh, well, I don't want to exclude some of these other people I can help. So I might talk about some of those barriers a little bit later. So you don't need a niche. You can benefit from a niche. The earlier you are in your coaching, the less you'll be able to look back at your own coaching experience and go, oh yeah, well, like I've coached a few dozen clients in this area, and now I can use that to really clarify my coaching. So anything else I want to say there? Okay, so anybody clear on this? So let me just break down the formula. I help who? So really the first step is going to, who do you help? We're going to look at the slides and it's who do you help and how do you help them? So and so we basically think of what problem do they have that you can solve? What transformation can you help create for them to get them usually out of something and into something else? And then what really helpful is the third piece is, you know, how do you help them? And it can take a bit of time to get there, but when you have that kind of really in your body, in your DNA, any opportunity you get, you can just come out with something like, this is who you help, how you help them, and by using what method. And that can be great. It can turn, any conversation can easily slide into, oh, this person may be interested in what I do. Are they in my target audience? Are they the kind of people that may benefit from what I do? And if so, you're getting a lead there, perhaps that can lead you into more of a conversation. Let me also say that all of your marketing efforts, everything you're doing really, I would say, is about trying to create a conversation. So you usually, it's hard to, people say it's impossible. It's very hard to sell coaching without kind of first doing some coaching first. So ideally, your strategy would be something like whatever means you get, whether it's social media or newsletters or live events, you're trying to create a conversation. When you have a conversation, this is where the formula that you can clarify here can be best portrayed, and to find out then is a good fit for you. And if the people that you help realize, oh my God, this person helps people like me, and this person has helped other people like me, and maybe gone through it themselves as well, they know where I am now, and this is how they're going to help me. Oh, and it all makes sense, and it all seems reasonable. Great, how do I sign up, or what's the price? So that is the benefit of this kind of work we do on clarifying. And it starts with the who. So who do you coach? Who do you want to help or to serve? We're just kind of thinking in brackets here, kind of categories here. Starting off in each, you don't need to be too, what's the word, pixelated. You don't need to be very, very specific, but you do want to have at least categorize who you want to coach. So start thinking about, who do you want to help? Who do you want to serve? Anyone, let's do some brainstorming here. I want to get the chat box going. Just put some ideas. I mean, even if you're just, oh, I don't know, is it this or this? We can have several options here. Ideally, we'll do some brainstorming here. We all come up with at least three favorites, or if you only have one, fantastic. But if you are jostling between a few categories, good, high-end, older professional with a 45 plus. Who else do you want? Who else do you want to help? Who else, high-end, who else, everybody else? Who do you want to serve, or who do you think you could give a lot of value to? Or where would you feel? Another way, another kind of metaphor I was thinking of this is, what is a niche? So let me just pause on this for a second and clarify what is a niche. So I like to tell stories. So I want you to imagine, anyone ever been scuba diving or underwater or snorkeling or something like that, underneath the ocean, there's all this life going, there's a whole ecosystem and environment that you don't normally even know is there. And I remember being diving in Mexico, and there was this cliff underwater of just rocks and like an underwater cliff. And there was so many different organisms. There's eels and fish and coral and things you didn't know were alive till you got really close. And some of these creatures, they only survive in a very, very specific location. So the niche for you is really about, actually, let me give you a different metaphor. It's the garden. So any of you gardeners out there, even the hobby gardeners? Yeah. So have you ever got a beautiful plant, and you go, okay, and you put it somewhere in your garden and it just didn't work? So what do you do? I see a nod from Helen. Helen, what do you do when your plant isn't liking where you've put it? Yeah, is that you? Yeah.
Try and change the environment that it's in.
Change the environment that it's in. Yeah, good. And then, have you ever changed it around a bit until it found its spot? And you go, now it's really doing well.
I want to say I have, but I'm not a very good gardener.
Okay. Well, I'm not a great gardener, but we've got the kind of a funny and interesting garden here. So sometimes I try it here, and then you don't know much about it, and you learn about it. And then, so plants just sometimes you go and you find the spot, and something about the soil, the sun, the lack of wind, or the exposure to wind, and the climatic conditions just suit it perfectly, and it really gets to blossom and grow. But put the same plant and put in the wrong place in the same garden, put in where it's too much shade, too damp, or too windy, or exposed to cold, and the thing can die, shrivel, or waste away, and it can, sometimes you got to go back in there as emergency. So the niche, really, you want to think about the niche as, what is the ideal environment for you to thrive in? That's going to start you asking the right questions. And it may not, a bit like the plant, you may think it's going to work here, and you may end up needing to move in a few feet. You may not get it right first time, but with an educated guess, you can read the label on the plant and go with part shade or sunshade or damp or dry soil, and give it what you think it likes. So you may need to move your plant, but start thinking about where would you be most likely to really thrive? The environment that would bring out the best in you as a coach. And from that kind of a way of thinking, let's go back, press play on, who do you want to help? Oh, here, this is good. I've missed loads. Okay. So women through menopause, that's good. People who want to reclaim their lives. Okay, Lynette. Not specific, but I like where you're going. People struggling with life generally. Okay. So people living with chronic illness. So we also want you want our message to be you want your niche to be targeted. So you need to get more specific. Women through menopause, getting pretty good, Louise. You could probably, you could probably get more specific on that. But people with chronic, living with chronic illness. So Claire, what would you pick a chronic illness in particular to get started with it, or would you prefer to stay open? The problem with, go ahead, Claire.
Yeah, probably multiple sclerosis.
Yeah, okay. So people living with MS. Okay, so that's probably a plus to go for MS for you, rather than, if you have any experience, rather than keeping it too vague, chronic illness. Let me just pause now again and give you another metaphor here that I found really powerful when I was training. It's like, when it comes to marketing, you want to have a strong charge. You want to, if you think of a magnet, what do you want that magnet to be? That's your magnet that's going to, you want to attract clients. You want a strong charge. Okay. Now, every magnet, if you remember that kind of think of the old-fashioned, horse-shaped magnet, it has a positive and a negative terminal, or a positive negative end, correct? So if you increase the power of the magnet on the positive side, what does it do to the negative side? One will push and one will pull. The charge gets stronger on both sides. So if you want a really strong attracting force, similar to a magnet, you will also have an opposite repelling force to those who do not, resonate. And that's a good thing. So it's kind of counterproductive to be pushing people away. But the stronger your charge is, so if you go, I help, people with struggling with MS, and we'll talk about kind of more nuances later. That's for the person with MS, it means a lot more than whereas the chronic illness might just go right over their heads. So Marita, people struggling with life generally, again, too vague, because we want to say that literally part of the value of the niche is that the target audience, when you speak, will think you're speaking to them, not to everybody. I remember this, there was someone come back from a concert years ago. It was a boy band concert, and she was a daughter of a friend, and she was convinced that one of those boys up the stage was looking directly at her the whole time. So good people on stage, or they will make people feel included. But a masterful storyteller or a great communicator, it will feel to the listener like that person's speaking to them alone. And your message, whenever you're more specific and you find your niche and you're brave enough to go, this is who I serve and this is how I help them, they go, oh my God, this person's speaking directly to me. And that's when your message is power. That's when your content will really create perhaps engagement, or lead on to a person thinking, oh yeah, that's Claire, she's the MS girl, she helps people with MS. That's what you kind of want. So we might have to push up on some of our fears. Limited. So women in their 30s, 40s, 50s and beyond, who want to live a healthy, full life, but feel stuck and unable to move forward. Okay, so 30s, 40s, 50s and beyond, 30s plus, really, is there any point in having those age brackets there? Busy women. And then, so also think about it when I'm just going to kind of critique some of these messages for your benefit with the guidance. Busy women, how is that a problem? You got to be thinking, like busy, how is that a problem? The more you understand the problem, we'll speak about this in the kind of the what problem. The more you understand the problem that your target audience have, the easier. Really, what you want to be doing is talking to that problem, letting them know there's a way out of it, that you have a solution, and that you're trying to create some kind of engagement to help you, to give you an opportunity to explain how your solution, or how you can work with them to provide the solution. So want to live a healthy, full life, but feel stuck, unable to move forward. Okay, so the stuck, that's kind of touching on something. So when you're stuck, what do you feel? when you're in that, and maybe you've been there already, Susan, you start thinking about, yeah, those women they're stuck. What's so bad about that? You know, and what prevents them?
They want to move forward, but they just don't have maybe the tools or the support or the time to implement the changes.
I hear, yeah. I actually had a call with a client early on. It was very much around this. But what are they experiencing at that time? What does it feel like to be stuck and to not know and to not feel possible to, you know, to get that clarity?
Because you're really asking the questions now. I'm actually thinking, going, oh my
yeah,
God.
if you want to, even if I just leave you with it, that's
very good. Yeah, it's really good. Yeah.
So it could be like the brink of overwhelm, or what is it?
Yeah.
What's it? So, and think of the powerful words. We'll go back to that perhaps with on the later slide. But that's the kind of question to ask, and you kind of drill into that, and then your message will start to get more powerful. Recovery following a breakup. So again, Paula, thinking about why, you know, what's that like? How does it affect you when you're following a breakup? And I'm presuming it was.
Hi, Shane. I'm kind of. Hi, Shane. I'm sort of losing my voice. I'm sort of thinking around family coaching, also divorce. So I'm looking in the sort of relationship arena, just because I've been doing some things voluntarily, and it's come up quite a few times, and there seems to be maybe a need for what, you know, for it's probably more focused on what for women. Obviously it affects both men and women, but my feeling is more working with, say, you know, a woman who is going through a breakup, and then just being able to sort of meander through that, and then maybe just, you know, and then focusing on some health and wellness, what in terms of the recovery. So that's kind of
okay. So I hear you, and I think it's a wonderful area where you could do a lot of good. It's a really great time to have an ally through a divorce, through a serious breakup. So a divorce is a thing. So a breakup could mean, you know, I remember whenever I was back in school, you go out with a girl for 3 weeks or 6 weeks, and then you go through a breakup, and it was a big deal for about 2 weeks, and then it was, oh, you almost forget all about it. So a divorce is bigger stuff, and some breakups are bigger than a divorce. So you got to find the language and recovery. So you want to help, and this is where women stick with women or stick with men, or, you know, help. Which one? It's okay.
I think in terms of having the reach and maybe the actual being able to build the bond. I could be wrong, but I think being a female, it may be easier for me to build that trust with women as opposed to doing it with men. I think there's a need for both, to be honest. But I think that's from my point of view.
Who would you rather? If I said to you, okay, you can have one or the other, you can have the men or the women, but you can't have both. Which one would you go for?
Oh my God, I think the women, because I think I don't think I'd feel as equipped to deal with men, just because I am a woman and I can probably relate more.
Yeah, good.
And I probably and my language, I think, you know, I don't care what anyone else says, there is a different language, female language. I think I would actually build better credibility and maybe quicker trust with another woman, maybe similar to me or similar age group, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Okay. And then, so specific wise, women going through divorce, after a divorce, does it matter?
It doesn't really matter. I've had the cases that I've been working on as a volunteer have been going through different phases. So some about or just break.
So you could be dealing with help navigate.
Yeah.
What would you do? Yeah. Okay. We'll go back into so people going through. That's quite specific. That's a nice one. That's a specific. It's a lot of people at a specific time of their life. So it's very relevant at this certain time, and then it's not. So that's quite a good kind of clear niche. People recovering from stroke. So Louise, you could probably think about what people would you like to work with? You want anyone at all? Or who would you like the most? If you kind of, who would you really like to help the most? And that doesn't have to be men, women in the middle. Think of the qualities also of the kind of clients you'd love to work with, you know. That can, you don't have to all have it in your I help statement, but it will sometimes help guide you. You're young or old. People severely affected from a stroke. What's the kind of nuances there that you perhaps could add a little more to?
Yeah, sorry, Shane. Yeah, I suppose it was in my mind just because my mother-in-law's just had a stroke, and I was thinking how useful the milestone recovery tool might be for her. So it just sort of got me thinking about, you know, different applications, and, you know, it could be quite specific. I mean, there's obviously, you know, quite a few people that have strokes, you know, men, women, at different ages. They tend to be older. So, you know, for me, thinking about a scenario that might be practical, I'm in an area where the demographic is quite old. So, you know, maybe older people.
Yeah.
Who, you know, or yeah, I mean, I haven't really given it that much thought, but
Okay.
yes, I mean, start drilling down in terms of age and.
Sorry, Louise.
Yeah.
Do you mind me asking, what draws you to these people? Your mother-in-law's had it, is it?
Yeah, well, I think I've had quite a lot of experience through family members having strokes, actually, for years. My grandmother had them, my dad's had some, my mother-in-law. So I've got a lot of personal experience, and seeing their immediate recovery, and also how it affects them longer term. And obviously, you know, this time around, I've got a slightly different perspective on it, having done the health and wellness coaching. So I feel like I'd be coming from a place of, you know, some understanding, at least on a personal level, and also, you know, through having a bit of layman's knowledge, if you like. So I would feel an affinity for that particular client group. And I've done quite a lot of work in my current business as a massage therapist with the older client group, you know, for lots of different reasons, not stroke specific, but I feel like quite attuned to that generation. So that would, you know.
Okay, well, so let me go back to the good news from my perspective is that by itself, you know, recovery from stroke is quite a niche by itself. And also for the kind of service that I would imagine as a coach you could offer is quite exclusive already. I don't know of many people out there doing work in that area, and if there are probably a lot more potential clients than there are, you know, people in the gap. So there's a gap in the market, which is another kind of consideration, especially when you're starting out. And you have an affinity personal experience, and this is all part of perhaps what helps us to identify the who and the what. So you're talking here about life experience, and you have some qualifications. So in this kind of diagram here, can you imagine? Yeah, maybe all those experiences from my family, my mother-in-law, etc., and what I've learned from the coaching could combine beautifully there to help these people.
Yeah,
that's the kind of one way to look at it. The formula, where am I? Who? So Lynette, yes, STH practitioner. I don't actually know what that means. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's
so.
In therapeutic horticulture.
We lost you there, or I lost you anyway.
And I seem to be having problems here. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, so far so good. Yeah.
STH is social and therapeutic horticulture.
Okay. Right. So that would mean, so that when you have a title like that, especially the abbreviation, you're going to throw most people. So if what you could operate as in that bracket where it's known, if people know you in that space already, it's less of a problem. But for those outside, it's going to be exclusive. You're going to lose them unless they're not going to understand what that means. So we have to think about what the layperson might expect. But maybe you're only kind of operating in a group where that's familiar with them, So does that make sense, Lynette?
Yeah, it would. That's actually social and therapeutic horticulture and nature-based therapies. They're like an add-on for the coaching.
Okay, so that would help you with workshops. When we look at the kind of how you help people, that kind of sounds like more like there's who you serve, who you help, what problems you can help them with, and then how. So that description there of the horticulture and the social therapeutic is more like the how you do it rather than who you serve.
Yeah. Well, if you looked earlier, I said that I help people to reclaim their lives.
Yes, yeah.
So
what people, Lynette, who need to reclaim their lives?
People who've been through a life change or lifestyle change, relationship breakdown, whether that's divorce or death of partner, that sort of thing, or maybe they've lost their family home or a job, they're a source of income.
Yeah. So you're giving me lots of options which are more specific.
Yeah, that's what I'm having the problem with.
Yeah. I hear you. And it's not easy. But one good thing is you can write out. This is where some of you are like that, and you kind of it's this or could be this. Is kind of write out a kind of a list of those categories. Not too many.
Yeah. Well, I've actually been creating personas. I've been working with someone from Scotland, actually, Tracy, and she's got me to come up with personas, for the different people.
Kind of, as I say, as an avatar.
So I'm kind of narrowing it down. Yeah, and just kind of give them a name and an age and their background and what their problem is, what their challenges are, how I'm going to help them. And so by doing that, I've narrowed it down a little bit, all right. A lot more.
And Lynette, if I was to put the squeeze on you now and say, okay, you're gonna give me the preference, and we're going to go with that, and you have to cut away the rest. What's happening inside you now?
Well, I'm thinking that I should go back to what I decided 20 years ago when I separated. Was because of all the things that I went through as a result of that. They're the people that I should be coaching.
There you go.
Yeah,
it's there. This is what I realize. There's often they're right in front of you and they're in your face. Anyways, we're exploring everywhere else, and that could be just pushing up against more of a fear. Of can I really help them, or is it okay to be visible, or sometimes it's one of those. It's a fear something preventing. It's not the lack of clarity. It's the fear that prevents the lack of clarity, because you already knew 20 years ago. So just remember that you already know, and you would be so well placed to help people at that most delicate time of their lives. So it's not, what do you call it? We started with it was the previous comment. I help divorcees, or you could, two things I heard was I help divorcees or widowers. That's more specific than people. And the people who need to reclaim their lives have gone through something. So the divorcees are going through it, or have gone through it. So you could start there. That's a kind of a much more potent message. I help divorcees reclaim their lives through social and therapeutic horticulture. Does that make sense, Lynette?
It does, yeah.
And then you could, over time, you could try that, and then you might just go, great, you could stick with this and try that message. And then you might have, actually, I'm getting more widowers and divorcees. And you go, I help widowers. The chances are that if you're out there and you're saying, I help divorcees reclaim their lives, is that people, would anybody any chance be able to work with a widower and say, I haven't been divorced, but my wife died or my husband died. So don't be afraid of that narrowing down. Even though it seems like it's excluding some, people are actually more likely to go, oh, could you help me too? Would you make an allowance for me? How does that land, Lynette?
Well, I think one of the things that has been stopping me from narrowing it down is I'm thinking too much about who I can help and what I can do rather than what I want to do or who I want to help.
Yeah. And do you know who you want to help?
Well,
have you just told me who you want to help?
Yeah. The major life change as a result, Dan, I should say.
Sorry, Lynette, the line is not great.
Okay. People who have been through a relationship breakdown.
Okay. Yep. Been through it. Just think of the recency, because some of you have been through it 10 years ago. Going through it kind of makes it seem current. And even though that we can be going through something, even technically months after the event has happened. So that, just think of it, consider that going through versus went through. For that post.
Still need to work that out then.
No, I think you've got enough, Lynette. I would say you just go with I help divorcees reclaim their lives with social and therapeutic. Just don't let it be an issue. Get out there and see, can you move on it? And otherwise, you might need to do a little bit of a breakthrough yourself. Get a coach. Okay?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Cool. Helen, who are people who are feeling anxious, too busy, and overwhelmed? Is that specific enough? Not really. You've given me three things there. Anxious. That's kind of, also think of the call to action. Why would a person fork out, to waste their time talking to someone, forking out their cash for something they don't know will work? They have to really be in the pain. They have to be kind of, so anxious. Think of anxious is more, anxiety is probably a bit more powerful than stressed. And overwhelmed seems to be more, if you're overwhelmed, it's more of a, it sounds like you could really do with some help there, if you're overwhelmed. Too busy doesn't seem as urgent, if you know what I mean. So of the three of them, feeling anxious, or are they anxious? I think, and overwhelmed. Okay, yeah, I've overwhelmed. Oh yeah, so overwhelmed too. Overwhelmed people. You see, could you kind of overwhelmed? Is it people doing exams? Is it moms? Is it new parents? Is it executives? Is it CEOs? Is it small business owners? Who is it that is overwhelmed? Nicole is new moms. People wanting to live healthier. Okay, so new moms is quite a good one, but new moms, will you be able to get into their brain? They really, really, really need help, but they're almost inseparable from their babies, and they do. And I could just observe my own wife; she will not do what's best for her. And her friends who were recently, I offered, there was people looking for coaches, and I had coaches looking for clients, and I was like going, yeah, but they were just too stressed to even consider it. So fine, but there are a time when if you can get that message across, wow, it really, but it's a massive pressure. They're sleep, overwhelmed, their brain doesn't shut off. It's a massive transformation, especially the new moms wanting to live healthier. Yeah, so they do want to live healthier, lose weight, and improve diabetes. Okay, so the diabetes is specific there, Nicole, but everybody pretty much wants to live healthier and lose weight. So you got to think of the pain point of the new moms. What is it that they really need? Hayat, frustrated lost. Is that you listening to me, or your ideal clients?
No, that was in response to a previous question.
Sorry.
No. Okay.
Yeah, it's hard to keep track here. So not with me anyway. Okay.
No.
So Tracy is people living with heart conditions. So think of the urgency there. What people with heart conditions would need help and would need your help. Someone was just, my dad has a little ticker now in his what you call it, a pacemaker. Just fine. He's living with a heart condition, but he won't be reaching out. He won't be reaching out for a coach anyway. But think of the people that would be looking for and kind of need that extra support. How has it affected them? Is it the recovering from heart surgery, or?
I've already really listed the ones that I've already had from my existing community, access of communities. That's so that's who. When you were saying really niche, but I was thinking I've got a few existing kind of communities online. So,
oh yeah, get you. Good. Okay, perfect. Yeah.
So that was
yeah,
like people living with heart condition. That's who I've been the people I've been coaching so far have come into those. And when I thought about it, I realized that's all parts of my existing.
So they're good.
You know what I mean?
Okay. So in your case, so you already have your kind of like your network or your audience, so you could be even more specific and target them specifically with your offers. But that's fine. But they're good. There's a little niche that's operating there. Not feeling, Marina, people who are not feeling in control of their weight and are stuck in a rut. Good. Now, if you have go back to the who do you serve, you got to get kind of condense it. If they're not in control of their weight, what are they? What are they? They're feeling. Are they obese? Are they overweight? Are they lacking confidence? What kind of think of the?
No, just a little. Yeah, just a bit overweight, not obese.
Okay, so tell me what is stuck in a rut. What's the stuck in a rut bit?
Same routine, kind of going, I suppose, yo-yo dieting, that sort of thing. Not trying to get out, not being able to see the wood for the trees, really, in a way. So starting something on a Monday and then giving up on a Wednesday, let's say.
Yeah. It's like my friend who gave up cigarettes. I asked him a few weeks later, "Was he still off the cigarettes?" He goes, looks at me and says, "Shane, I'm no quitter." So you're talking about more about here. Okay, so you can start in people who. So what people? Men, women. Is there name?
Men and women. Yeah, men and women.
So this guy's got people. So they're overweight. Are they yo-yo dieters? Would you work in yo-yo dieters? I help yo-yo dieters.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. What's the next? How you help them? Make lasting weight change. Make lasting weight loss, or what are they looking for?
Yeah, make lasting weight loss. Yeah, or
lose the pounds forever.
No, that's too cliche.
Yeah.
New habit.
Yeah,
and sustainable changes. I think sustainable would be good. Sustainable. Yeah.
So that's kind of the third point, through sustainable diet and lifestyle changes, is it? Yeah. So the middle bit, I help. So we're going on into how we help them in the next 40 plus with a stressful job and family life. Yeah. Okay. So then who would have the stressful? There's another way to think about it. Who are the 40 pluses who have the stressful jobs, family life, and they carry out of responsibility?
Well, somebody with a very say hard power job, or just stressful job with too much on their plate, really. They've got a family life. Unfortunately, they have no time for themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you could think it is: are you into executives? Are you into corporate, or are you perhaps business owners, or leaders? So think of the who might have those problems. Sorry, not the problem. Well, who might be a typical 40 plus stressful job, family with a family and carrying a lot of responsibility.
Well, it could be all of them really, because it could be corporate, business owners, parents. Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, and then you think of who you want to work. Would you rather work with a business owner? Which would you perhaps relate to better?
I would probably a business owner. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's much more specific. You see the difference.
Okay. Yeah. Break it down. Okay.
Busy, stressed and busy business owners make sustainable changes, lifestyle changes.
Okay.
What problem do you solve? So let's talk about the what. So also, this is the thing where I asked you all, most of you were pretty new to the coaching. What problem? Think of that. Think of those people that you think you'd like to help. Already kind of touched on it when I haven't. What problem do you got to think? What problem do they have? What's their here? What keeps them up in the middle of the night? What's waking them up at 2 o'clock in the morning going, how am I going to fix this? Got to get inside their heads. Now, some of you, your ideal client is the former you. This is what I find really valuable, and I will share. I'll share a resource with you. I highly recommend this resource. It's a simple one. Basically, it's writing down your accomplishments, what you've achieved, what you have pushed through, what adversity you've overcome in your life, what wins you have had. Until I did that, I thought I had nothing to offer. I was comparing myself to anyone out there, comparing yourself to the big names, getting emails, and there's like an email a day and it's brilliant content or it's videos, and anyone out there kind of comparing, oh my God, how could I ever compete with the big guns, Anyone at that bit of comparison? So sometimes we're comparing ourselves. One of the blocks we have is, new coaches like, oh God, I'm not as good as them, or I'm not good enough, or I haven't done that, or I'll need to know this. Some of you have got nutrition or other badges. I need to know all this stuff. So remember that your whole life your life experiences are also your classroom, also your university, and you have graduated from many classes in life. Lynette, divorce. Who else we said tonight? So what you've been through has taught you lots, far more than the classroom stuff, So you can draw, and especially for your niche, you can leverage your past experience to get some of that certainty. What really will give your coaching power and your ability to make a living and offer a lot of value, attract the right clients, charge high fees, and get great results and offer a lot of value, is this kind of level of certainty. It's like, oh yeah, I'm pretty certain. You feel certain that you can bring about the result. Now, you won't have that necessarily from the coaching experience if you're just starting out. It's starting to come together, I hope. But for the certainty for a group of people, it's best to lean into what you've done yourself a lot of the time. Or perhaps you've helped someone else through it in a non kind of direct way. So think of your life experiences. Paula.
Hi, Shane. I recently had an experience. Actually, I didn't really think about it until just now. So my other hat is that I was a recruitment consultant, and I do consultancy work every now and again. And I had to recently, it was the lady who you were speaking to. So I had to do some work with her on her business, and I thought that's what she wanted. But I told her that I was doing coach training, and which was I just said it off the cuff when we were just chatting. And then I had to do an update meeting with her. And when I got to the meeting with her, she put the Zoom on, and then she just started crying. And which completely threw me. And then it kind of came out that she was struggling with the sort of managing the business on her own. She's doing well, but it's been tough. She's also put on some weight, but this all came out literally. I hardly said anything, but because I think she knew that I was doing the coaching, so I literally just sat and I just listened. So it was that, and because I had that experience of actually doing the recruitment, but also doing the coaching, and also she was a lady of color, a certain age group. So all those things literally all mirrored me. as well. So I just thought I'd just throw that out there in terms of bringing what I could, so I could share how I felt about imposter syndrome, about, you know, the struggle, you know, what it's like making sure, you know, to feel credible, but also understanding that she was, you know, also thinking about losing weight. She's also single. So there was a lot of things that came out before we even had talked about what she'd actually asked me to do. So it was just something that I just thought I'd just share.
Brilliant. And what led us there, Paula, is I was talking about leveraging your own experience, what you've been through yourself and your life experience. So you're all of these things, plus, and having the coaching hat kind of help. But this lady, there was so much in common. She just seemed to be safe, and she just cried, and she just resonated, had a rapport with you almost straight away. Is that correct?
Yes, but also because she knew that I was doing the coaching, she then asked me about the coaching. So she maybe end up being a client.
Yes, good.
But I hadn't realized that there was something, and she then talked about things like that she's put on weight, that she wants to get her fitness back, but she's been really busy because she's running her business. So it reminded me of the lady that I can't remember the name of the lady who you was just speaking to, talking about dealing with people who are busy, business and stress. And the fact that she was so, I think it was just knowing that she had someone who would listen to her for a couple of hours. So so in a way I felt like I did a coaching session as opposed to a business.
Yes, good. And she may well become a client. Now she felt heard. Good. This is opportunities to take. And also the curiosity, you know, what we can do at this stage, no matter what stage you're at, just be really curious, you know, what challenges are you coming up against? What is it like for the person in their situation? So we can guess it and try and create, but we can also be really curious and get that and get in front of as many people who we think we'd like to help as possible. And then, be curious, you know, and really seek to understand their problem. So what problem do you solve? We can leverage your own past. So think of your own, what have you come through? Like I will share it too, like I said, to help you generate this, but even some brainstorming now, what have you done? What have you done in your own life that you think would be really valid for someone, might appeal to someone? Let me frame this. Sometimes we think, oh my God, we're now on this side, we're qualified, we need to know it all. Really, your clients just need to know the next step. And if they're 10 steps back from where you used to be, you know it all. You've got plenty. If you can sit and be an ally and listen and understand and offer support, and from your own experience, you know, share what worked, what didn't work, that alone is valuable. So we don't need to have the whole thing figured out. Think of your ideal client for now is the former you, if you want to leverage your past. And you only have to be a few steps ahead of them to be really useful. Now, when you do this, I'm going to send you this tool. When you do this tool, you're going to be, oh my goodness! Like before I did this technique or this exercise, I was like, what the hell can I do? And I was like, oh my God, sure, I've changed my diet. I used to have psoriasis. I changed career. I left family farm. I moved house. I trained in something new. I said with business. I'd failed businesses. And I had ones that worked. There was like I bought property, and someone had made a profit from someone. So I had loads of experience that I wasn't giving myself any credit for, because I was comparing myself to those people, and I wasn't basically what I would suggest you do instead is that when you compare yourself to someone who's further on than you, you're disempowering yourself unless you're feeling inspired, and that's going to make you want to retreat back down into the little hole if you've gone into, and kind of cover yourself up nice and safely, so people don't find you out to be the fraud that you might be. So think, your former self is your ideal client, and you don't have to have it all figured out. But if you can kind of convince, or not convince, it's kind of like, if you can provide a certain level of certainty to your client that you can understand where they are now, and give them some kind of reassurance that there is a way out, and if you've done that way out yourself, that's going to give you a lot more credibility. And then if you can explain to them how you're going to help them out from where they are to get to where they want to go, that's really the formula here. But we need to know what problems do you solve. So going back on those ideal clients, or what would we call them? What would we call them? The who do you serve? Can anyone expand it now and go, okay, yeah, this is how I help them. What problem? Let's forget the formula. What problems do these people, to your people you know have, to the people you want to work with? What keeps them up at night? What do they really, really want? And if you don't know it, that's fine. That's where we brainstorm. Just let it flow. You get into the chat box, just unfiltered. You need to just unlock the dam. It's in there. Think about it. Just think about think about something that kept you up at night 10 years ago, or 5 years ago, or 2 months ago. Things that you were really intimidated and daunted by are now like, sure, that's grand. I'm over that. But not for the people who are now in that same situation, who haven't figured it out yet. So what's keeping them up at night? Mostly want to balance and less guilt. We don't want most people to breathe it. We're looking for a tiny few. There are about 7.9 billion people in the world. You cannot coach them all. I'm sorry. There's not enough of you. So you really don't have to worry about people closing the net. It's like what people want balance, and what people are experiencing a lot of guilt. So much guilt is a problem. And then what's keeping them? How is that guilt keeping them up at last, or is it the lack of balance? What's keeping them up at night? You got to fine tune. Helen, too busy at work. Does that keep them up at night? How does it keep them up at night? It might keep them up at night, but how? Are you waking up in the morning because your mind is racing with all the thoughts you're trying to deal with? You can't even. You should be leaving work at home at 5 o'clock, but you're waking up 2 o'clock in the morning. You're still thinking about it because there's so many. There's such a long to-do list in your head. Is that what's keeping them up? You got to kind of get into their brains. Stroke survivors, fear of life not being the same. Okay. So the fear of life not being the same, good, but get more kind of specific there. What's the present is like, for them, life's not going to be the same. What's the problem? What's the dilemma that they're facing?
Yeah, I think Shane there, what I meant was, I mean, that's something that I've heard quite a lot. It is quite a general thing, but the sense that you've lost the life that you've had. If you've got some, residual problems. So a specific might be you can no longer do the walking, or you no longer have the mobility that you might have had pre-stroke. So there's a more specific example.
Yeah. Are they struggling to adapt? Struggling to loss?
Yes, I think that could be a factor. Definitely, there could be an element of grief, coming to terms with a loss of function or loss of part of the life.
Okay.
Social connections. So
you help people with. This is what context is this again? Was the MS?
Stroke.
Sorry.
Yeah. Stroke
survivors. Is that a good word?
I wasn't sure what I wasn't sure what to use actually.
Yeah, this is why we're just playing with language. Look, we're just done is better than perfect. We're just doing kind of everything we're doing tonight is first draft, folks. Unless you really feel it. Wow. When you really get it, you go, oh my God, you kind of feel your shoulders will drop and you'll feel this energy because you're tapping into your purpose. That's what I'm here for, is to serve these people. This is what my whole life makes sense now. I went through all of that so I could help these people. And now blah, blah, blah. So Lynette, sorry, not Lynette, Louise, isn't it?
Yeah, Louise, yeah.
Louise, you help stroke survivors. What is it they really, really want? If they're struggling with adapt, what do they really want? Is it to Reclaim their life, is it too?
Yeah, I mean, that's what would come to mind, reclaiming their lives, but albeit it might be in a different form from what they might have had before.
Yeah.
Rebuild
their life. Recover.
Recover, reclaim.
Reclaim.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure.
What is it? What is it? What do you think they really, really want to reclaim? Is it, because
I think it might be. I think the thing is, I'm just thinking about people that I know that have had them. It might be different things for different people. It might be something very straightforward for some, which is I want to be able to go and do my shopping independently.
There you
for
go.
Others, it's to gain a sense of themselves. I feel like myself again, so it can be quite broad.
This is the problem. As I said at the start, the formula sounds so simple. It's like I help, did it, and some people will make it. And then get down to it, it's a bit of a challenge, really. Just so you know, we have some time left, but I'll run this event again because some people didn't make it, and you're all welcome back. I have some kind of tools to send out, but let me just check in. Is this helpful? We're not going to get there for most of you, but hopefully you've start asking the right questions and know how difficult. Just give me what's helpful about it. Is it reassuring to know that it's not so easy? Is it better questions and more clarity? And if it's not helpful, okay, just let me know. I really need to know what I'm doing, because we're kind of going around lots of different. I think there's I think it's beneficial for us all to hear different people's ideas. It helps us kind of, yeah, that's so true. That's really what it's about, like digging deeper. Better question last week. Okay, yeah. So it's work in progress, but hopefully I've given you a bit of a structure and more respect for the challenge that this is. What keeps them up at night? Going back to that last one, reclaim their lives. Reclaim their identity, reclaim their independence, reclaim their confidence, or rebuild their confidence. So think of the impact that the challenge they went through has had on them, and then what they would love instead. Sorry, my slideshow doesn't seem to be working. Okay, I have very little control over my screen. Can you everybody see the screen? I got a message saying this screen sharing is paused. Control. I'm having a problem with my mouse and stuff. Oh, here we go. Sorry, folks, I'm going to bring it up again. Okay. So think about, so when you're doing this, I'm going to send you to it. I would encourage you all to kind of look back at your accomplishments, what you've done, what you've been through. Think of your ideal client as the former you, leverage your past experience, and then, you help some kind of people with a problem that probably that you had or that you know well, that you've been through, and how do you help them? So the third part would be, really this is where it's kind of like, why would this audience choose you? People talk about a target audience, so that can be a little bit off-putting, for us kind of empaths who don't like putting targets on people as if they're going to get, normally when you put a target on something, you're going to hit them with something. So the target audience, it really is like, it's the target you want to put the target on yourself. You want the audience to be able to target you. So they're going to be looking for someone, and you want them to make it really easy. That's the person who's going to help me. Why? Because that's the kind of people, I'm the kind of person they help. They know the problem I have, but also then why will they choose you? You got to kind of be able to explain or somehow get your message across at how you're going to help them. So ideally, you will do this on a discovery call if you're a coach and you've got your kind of coaching skills tuned. You'll be able to do a little bit of coaching with them in live. You also have then, you're going to perhaps talk about a program or how you help people through stages or a step-by-step process. Or perhaps you could talk about the different skills. Some of you, this is a great chance for you to blend your skills. I know some of you perhaps have come from a nutrition background or maybe yoga or physiotherapy or something else. So this is where you can start to explain how you combine your coaching to help perhaps reduce stress or gain clarity or provide motivation, or you could bring in support to help people build new habits, the accountability you can bring as a coach, or it could be the expertise you come in terms of chronic conditions or healthcare, or your expertise in going through divorce. That's maybe not expertise, but life experience, what you've been through yourself. Coaching them through perhaps barriers that you've been through, what we've had to overcome, which could be a kind of a certain way of thinking, or coming up against fears, or the emotion element, the mindset. So that's kind of what we want to think about: who we serve, how we help them, and then why. Why would they choose you? It really is kind of how you help that person. And the how is also explaining, it's also helping the people to go, that's the first person I want. Because for example, all of us went out tonight and we targeted the same people with the same problem, but we just changed this bit around. And we all went out to 100 people. We might all get the same amount of clients back, but different people. Why? Because I would probably be strong in mindset, on coaching through barriers, building habits. Some of you might be stronger in expertise, might be maybe really kind of good at the holding the hands, giving support. Someone kind of the emotional component. Some of you might have experience from life experience much stronger than me. So this is where you get a chance to talk about the combination of you, what makes you unique, and why would someone choose you over them. You're not telling them this is why you choose, why they'll choose, not directly, but covertly, you're saying this is why you choose me. These are my strengths. And some people will be really attracted, and again, like the magnet, some people will be repelled straight away. And you want to get comfortable at repelling the people, because you're going to mean you're going to be attracting more. Okay, let's go back. Let me just touch on this one first. Just say when you have this in place, it's really good to know what pain are they in, but really not. We're kind of, why people are much more likely to buy something to get out of pain than to tend to go into pleasure. So there's much more likely people would seek out a solution. For example, earlier on today, my computer was driving me crazy. It slowed down so much since my last update. So my motivation was through the roof. I got to make a call. I got everything lined up. I'm going to get it fixed almost straight away. My car, I've got a car there. It's an 08, so it's 14 years old, but it's reliable. It's a kind of a second car. It's reliable. It's a darling to me. But once it starts giving me, once I get into that car and it doesn't start, or it breaks down on me, or it starts to cause me pain, then I want to change it. Because I would love a new car, but I'm just not highly motivated right now to change that car. But once it starts causing me pain, if oh my God, I'm going to an important meeting and I've got stuck in the road. Oh my God, I'm ready in that moment to get out of that pain. I'll change that car. I'll buy something else. I'll get a car. So think about that. And when you can know the pain they're in, and we're not coming across as kind of some kind of cheesy marketers here who touch the pain. It's like with empathy, we can, if we know what the person is feeling. And Lynette, you mentioned going through divorce earlier on. So if you're on this side of you, you know the pain, you know what they're feeling. You don't know what they're feeling. We never really know what they're feeling. We can anticipate or imagine what we think they're feeling. And when we get it right, this is the thing about coaching a lot of people. You find that these categories tend to have these commonalities. And what are they going through? You get feel, and when you can talk to them, when you can talk to their pain with empathy, with understanding, it allows the conversation to go deeper. And that's where you're much, much more likely to get engagement when people, because Tony Robbins has a saying, people make decisions for emotional reasons and justify them with logic. So in this context, people will be more likely to make a decision to go with you if you've really connected them and connected with them with their feelings, especially their pain. And if they feel, oh wow, someone gets this, someone understands this, accepts this, and seems pretty confident that they can help me out of it. That's very hard to turn away from that, because it's hard for people to be vulnerable enough to get to that place and then to let it go to waste, because finding it again can be really hard. For those who mentioned chronic illnesses, this is often what's not done in the medical setting. The pain, okay, the physical pain is mentioned, but the emotional pain is often overlooked. And that's often where people are really suffering and want out of. They might even know how big a problem it is for them. So perhaps you can, those who talk about chronic illness, etc., can think about that pain. Understanding what it feels. So getting into their head. So they're going back to the avatars or the who they are. Stepping into their body. You can imagine their life, and it could be going. What I'm doing with some of my clients at the moment is having them step back into their former selves. And wow, and then suddenly, oh my God, yeah. Seeing their own journey again from this side. They know what it was like. They have the feelings. They know what it was. And then we can project that onto to others and go, okay, that's probably what they're feeling. And we don't know, but if it works, and that's what they feel like as well. Wow, we have a bit like Paula's scenario there, where there was kind of an instant rapport. It wasn't even a coaching session, but it became one because of all those familiarities. How do you coach them? Yeah, okay, so then this is where you're also going to have to kind of get clear on is coming up with this kind of, I call it a roadmap sometimes, if you're kind of thinking of it perhaps a package, or client's going to be engaging with you probably for a period of time if you're a coach. So over that period of time, what are you going to do with them that's going to help them get to where they want to get to where they want to go? Okay, back to the start. I help ... that want ... What do they want? By what method? Does anybody get it? Does anybody go, yeah, I feel it. I know it. It's my bones. If you did, fantastic. That would be a really condensed version. You've obviously done a lot of work already. You're not there yet. I hope you have enough to keep working on this. You're on my way to a good height. Yeah. Your niche wasn't niche enough. Yeah, I call this thing. I call it niching. I've created a verb. I'm niching. It's not quite there yet. You're niching. I'm just not niched, all niched out yet. So better questions, yeah. So ask yourself good questions. The quality of the answers you receive are directly related to the quality of the questions you ask. So things like, where would I thrive? Where would I be most likely to thrive? What people would I be? What environments? What would I be doing? Think about yourself, because really this is about, deep down, it's about you being that plant that gets put in the perfect spot in the garden so you can just blossom and grow and develop and share your beauty and your unique qualities with the world. But put yourself in the wrong place, or don't put yourself anywhere. Stay in the garden center, or wherever plants go to get stuck in a rut, is not going to work either. So get kind of, that's a nice soft way to enter into this if you'd be kind of coming up against some barriers. I start to imagine the people. Perhaps play scenarios in your mind. Yeah, what would we like to help that kind of, you've got a few options. Another, quickly, one other option is for those of you who have, has anyone got some categories that could help maybe middle-aged women through menopause, or not middle-aged women through menopause, or I could help, young parents, or I could help, business owners dealing with stress. Anyone got a kind of a few of them that's going on? Look, I don't even think we have time for it. So what you can do, the W just say that you can just ask questions like, rate them. Kind of have, if you say you have 3 different categories, you can just kind of give them a kind of a score, and it's like 1 to 3 preference. Which category do I find exciting to work with? Which category would I find most daunting to work with? Which category of people do I feel most certain that I can help? Again, rate them 1, 2, 3. Which category do I feel I will be most likely to be successful in? I'm kind of just coming up with these from memory. Which one would be most profitable? So just kind of breaking up, need to the pros, and some of the different categories will have different pros and different cons. And that exercise might give you a clear winner, or you might just go, you know what, actually, I thought I had a clear winner and I don't. And you may just kind of go, it's not the highest score, but this is the one. For some reason, it's just the one that's most aligned with you. But just sometimes a little bit of a playing around with it helps tease things out and brings you more clarity. Okay, folks, I want to end this up pretty soon. Let me just turn off the slides. Oh no, before we do that, next steps. So if you're on your journey, I think I turned off the screen. 1 second. If you're looking for next steps, so the most important thing was position yourself and start connecting with your audience. The most powerful thing you can do is just go pick a category and get out there and just start having conversations. Read at this point, even if it's great market research, is asking them, what are they coming up against? How are they finding life after the illness? How are they finding being back at home? How are they finding the empty house now that they're divorced? Just try and get a clearer sense of your client, because that will be educating you about perhaps others as well. If you want to schedule for, if you think you're coming up against a block here and you can't get past it, or you just need to tease yourself through this, you can contact me for one-to-one help. Schedule a free call with me. I will honestly just coach you and see if there's anything I can offer. I'm considering these kind of shorter packages just for the like of this, so I can work with you on the call for that for now. Opt in for if you didn't come to me through my Design Your Life coaching emails, opt in for them, that you will stay informed about any other events. I do plan, this was a very popular call, I'll do it again, but also similar events, ideal clients, first paying clients. I do intend to offer some free and other services as well. I want to let you know about a 12-week Build Your Authentic Wellness Business. It's not starting now till autumn. It's myself and 2 other colleagues in IHS will be running that one. And that's the kind of a 12-week group program. It's coming in at about 500 quid, €495. And that's kind of to help you step by step each week, get a piece of the pie in place until at the end you will come out with kind of much greater clarity, your niche, your ideal client, how to reach them, how to connect with them, and also be coaching you through some of your barriers. on it as well. What's the other one? Oh yeah, so I'm going to send out an opt-in list for that group as well. So there'll be different emails, and there'll be good resources coming in that when we start promoting that as well. And also reach out if there's something you help me to help you. What else is it? If, reach out to me privately if you have anything else you'd like me, perhaps a topic to cover, or a situation you're struggling with or want clarity, and I'll see perhaps what I can do or what I can offer for that. Okay, so let me see. We're just come up on the hour. Thank you all so much. Look, this would have been a very quick presentation. I think we had 5 slides with about four lines each. So really thank you all for engaging with your questions and with your prompts, and I really hope I've helped in some way, and really want to continue. For me, I find it's really difficult. I've had a few breakthroughs along the way, and it took some good questions, good exploration. So I wish you the very best with it. Reach out if I can help, and in the meantime, keep an eye out on your emails, and we'll be offering more services like this. Have a great night.
Thank you, Shane.
Thank you, Shane.
Thanks.
Actually, I'll stay on. If anyone has a
great.
question, anyone has a question for me, I'll stay on for a few minutes. If you want to ask me directly. And thank you all so much. Yeah, and I really appreciate all your comments. Yeah, and for willing to be coachable.
Cool.
Shane, that's great. Really helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was very helpful.
Good, Lisa. I hope so, Louise. Thank you. Thanks for turning up.
Thanks, Shane.
Thank you. And thanks, Tracy, for whoever. Was it Tracy? Yes. No. Who came in? I think it was Helen.
No.
Saved my ass with the, and for you sent out the message, it would have
You're
been
welcome.
a very empty screen, an empty.
Anytime.
Yeah. I'll make sure the next time I organize it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shane.
Thanks, Shane.
Cheers. Okay. Put up your hand if you want me to stay on. Anybody? Okay. We'll call it a night then. So much. Have a great evening now, and best of luck in your coaching journeys. Bye-bye now.